creating a culture of love.
It's a goofy show. It's great action. It's well written.
The world's built that way. Take the red pill or the blue pill.
It's never going to be forever.
Yeah.
You know, things change.
Just the guy, Travis Van Winkle, in the studio today. Thank you for joining us. You're an actor, an artist. I would say philanthropist because of all the good work you do, but that has just a whole different meaning to it. But you know, you're a big brother. Like, we're going to talk about that. You do stuff with Build On, but many of us, and maybe some of this audience, has seen you on a couple of different shows on Netflix or FX. Last Ship was on FX. TNT.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep my networks
same.
lined up, but yeah, you know. So, who are you?
First of all, nice to be here. Thanks for having me. I'm me. I feel like it feels good to be me.
Yeah.
I think that's part of why we're alive. Is hopefully we start to appreciate who we are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just a guy. What's up? Let's chat.
Just a guy.
Excited to be here.
And Arnold said you're ripped too.
Arnold
right?
told me I'm ripped. So that's
There you
pretty
go.
great.
Yeah.
To be like anointed.
Yeah. You put that on your tombstone.
I'm for sure not going to think about my tombstone yet.
It's not morbid, right?
But yeah, I hopefully there'll be other things that happen throughout my life that I won't have space for that. Maybe we won't even have tombstones
Probably not.
in however many years.
But look, it's inevitable. We're all going to die. And I just gave a keynote speech to 150 or 200 women funeral directors.
Wow.
National Funeral Directors Association. So it's kind of interesting that has come up. But I'm always thinking, how can I get back to Earth when I'm gone? Don't stick me in a $30,000 coffin where I can't have my body regenerate the planet. Like, that to me is just weird.
Yeah, I think in the next coming years, maybe we'll go away with this, traditional way of burying people in coffins and taking up all this space. And
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe everyone will just be cremated, but who knows? Because the emission problems that will bring. I don't know. I don't know what the best way to die is.
Yeah. Or be handled after death.
But hopefully it'll feel great.
Yeah. Well, this took a turn.
It did take a dark turn right out the gate.
So we're here today talking about living through love. And as an actor, I want to get interested in acting. We're creators. I have creators on here. I have storytellers on here. But that's how you share your gifts with the world, right? And sometimes you have to come in and out of characters. And you read how certain actors stay in character the whole time. Or they lose themselves to the character. Or a myriad of different things. What is your role in that? And have you ever noticed, you probably have a keener eye on seeing the masks that people actually wear. And that's really where we're going to go with this.
Well, that's interesting. I don't know. I feel like every role offers you something.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to offer yourself to every role. And you can't help but have this symbiotic kind of relationship. Jack Nicholson always said acting is autobiographical. So you're always pulling from yourself and your own experience and your light, like it's your own canvas, but you also have to use your imagination a lot as well. We have every single emotion inside of us, but I haven't experienced every emotion, or maybe because I'm an actor, maybe I have.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably not, but Meryl Streep always talks about her imagination and using it so much, and the gift of being an actor is we get to play all the keys. It's not every day that I get to, horseback ride in the 1800s and, live off the land. I haven't done that role yet. I'd like to play that, but we get to play a gamut of characters and experiences. And it's, I think it's just a great ride being an actor, is because you just get to play and explore. And so for me, I don't, what is method? I don't know. I don't go fully into my roles where I'm that guy on set. I speak in that voice. I mean, if I had to do a a British accent for a role or any kind of accent, I'd probably stay in that throughout just because it would really help me ground myself in it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't consider that method. That would just be a strong strategy.
Yeah.
No matter what, I throw myself all into my roles, all the way in. That's how I've always lived my life. I'm really intense like that, and I'm obsessed like that. When I get a role, it becomes this like target. And when I have that target there, I become a sponge on my way to it. And I'm listening in a different way. And it's always a learning process, and it's always different. You know, every time you get a role, it's not gonna be the same as the last one. So the process might be a little bit different. The framework stays the same, but the process on how to get there might change. And so I think there is a real joy in being able to play different characters, because you throw yourself completely into one. You live in that world. You live in that. You get to learn more about empathy of the experience of this character, and it always teaches you something. And so I feel like I get to play roles, and there's a certain completion that happens, and then it's on to the next thing. And it's nice to just remain open to see what I call in. What is the next role I get to play? And I've learned to look, you have to have a clear goal and a clear vision, but I don't know what's next.
Yeah.
And I'm open to see what life presents for me. And, you know, it's a fun ride being an actor, man.
So in hearing that, one thing that kind of popped into mind, would you say that when you're in this role, when you're immersed in it, you're more present than when you're not? Almost hyper aware of, like, I'm embodying this character now. I get to be this.
Like more present in my actual life?
Or in the character itself versus your actual life.
I mean, look at your art. It's no different. You know, you get immersed in creating something, you're alive and you're in touch with the flow, and you're you know, you're creating something that's authentic and coming from you. And so there is an access point that opens up inside, and there's an opening. I think every time we're creative, it creates a different opening inside of ourselves for connection and to feel all the things. So yeah, I'm just like you. You're just like me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're all artists. We all have our own version of art and creativity.
It's interesting because in my 20s, you know, I was doing little modeling. I had a guy, and he put me in some acting classes. Like, we're going to go down this path now. But I wasn't ready at that time. Like,
In what way?
I couldn't tap into anything that I am now.
Oh my God. I remember I went to therapy for the first time, and the therapist asked me about my life and to tell me about the things that I was going through. And I'm like, I'm good. Things are great. Like, yep, my family, you know, childhood was great. Nothing really happened. And she's like, okay, cool. You're not really ready, are you? And I didn't know what she meant at the time, but I hadn't gained access yet to the truth.
And recently, sometimes I'm throwing in a commercial, or I do this, or I do that, or now speaking. Now inside though, I feel like, oh, I could do this now. I could be ready. Not that I'm going to go chase around and become an actor now. You never know. I'll play myself in my autobiographical movie.
Okay. I want a part.
But yeah, you could play me actually.
Okay. I'm just going to stay silent on that one.
But it's just interesting because we go through these seasons in life on evolving or being able to tap into our emotions. And like, we're men, and men are raised a certain way. And not all of us have that access of tapping in or being ready. You just gave that perfect example. Like, oh, I'm fine. I don't need this. You weren't ready. You weren't open. But it was, you know, is that a place of weakness or a place of strength, not being ready and not being open?
I mean, there's a certain bliss to the blindness. What you don't know, you don't know. You know, there's 4 stages of competence. Have you heard of the 4 stages of competence? Unconscious incompetent. You don't even know of your incompetence. Conscious incompetent. You're aware that you're incompetent, but you don't necessarily know the tools to get out of it. Conscious competent. You are conscious of your competence, but you're taking a lot of bandwidth to like really process and be competent. Unconscious competent. It is second nature. You can do multiple things while navigating this particular thing that you're trying to master without having to think about it. So there's different stages that really define. We're always in one stage or the other of this spectrum. And I think there is a bliss to the blindness. And I think when I was in my early 20s, I hadn't started like really digging deeply into my psychology and into what mattered to me and into how I thought about things and into my familial dynamics and into the trauma that was in my body. I just wasn't there. I hadn't opened my eyes. My eyes, I feel like, opened at 25. One day I was just like,
hello.
I'm here. Like, this is me. Oh, this is me. Oh, fuck, why am I doing things this way? Or like, this isn't effective. Or, why am I riddled with all this insecurity? Well, oh man, there's beautiful things too, but my eyes opened to what was also in the way, and learning how to identify those things has been such a journey.
Yeah.
Because for a while you're in the unconscious incompetent stage, and then I'm conscious of my incompetence, and that's a hard stage to be in when you know you're incompetent, and you might know what the way out is, but you can't seem to get it. So then you just feel like there's no way out, and you're just stuck
Fish out of water.
You know what's possible. You know what you're capable of, yet not being able to get there. It puts you in this place where you feel stuck. So I feel like there was a lot of that in the identification process, because you can identify something. That doesn't mean you can change the behavior.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you can dissolve, that behavior, dissolve we're given a model with which to live from our parents, from our family, from society. We then identify what that model is. We keep the things that work. The things that don't work are actually holding us back from our highest potential. So we do our best to dissolve whatever that model is, and then we rebuild a new model to who we are, to who we really are. And that takes time. And I feel like that's the journey. That's all of our human journey that we're all going through at one point or another.
Yeah, and hopefully we find those moments that get us toward that sooner than later, so that we still have some life left.
I hope so.
Right?
Yes.
Like, you don't want to be 87, like, aha. And
yet at 87, there's going to be that moment where you're like, man, when I was 83,
yeah.
Like, how, I can't believe I did that. I asked my grandfather before he passed away, I said, when you look back on your life, I think he was 72 at the time. I said, like, when you look back when you were like 66, do you feel like there were things you could have done better? Do you look back and go, oh man, I wasn't aware of this particular thing? He's like, yes, that will forever be the case. And I think that's also part of our design. I think it's just, we're always learning, we're always growing, shaking and baking.
Never stop learning,
Yeah.
never stop growing, never stop evolving. So what was that moment, that aha moment at 25?
Oh, what was the impetus for it? I don't know. It was just time. I don't know.
Interesting.
Life is mysterious.
Yeah.
I think about this often. I'll walk myself through this in meditation. If you think about us right now, we're in Santa Monica. Look at a map. Cool. This is us. Rise above it. We're in California, but we're right here on this dot. Rise even higher. We're in North America. Think about all the different cultures and states that we have here, the different politics. Go even higher. Look at South America. Think about all the sounds and the sights, and just think about all the people, and come back down to this little dot right here in Santa Monica. Go even higher. Do that over Europe, over the African continent. Come back here. We're right here. Go even higher, you've got Asia, you've got Australia. Go even higher, you have Earth. We just see our Earth. Then go even higher, you see that we're the third rock from the sun. Come all the way back down right here to Santa Monica. Go even higher, you realize that we're in the corner of the Milky Way galaxy. Go out even further, there's clusters of galaxies. Come right back down here to this little place in Santa Monica. Go even further, There are billions, if not trillions, of galaxies the same size as ours. Then, like, just think about the cosmos. And then us, right here. Like, it is this wild mystery that we are involved in. And I like to think about that often because it reminds me of, I don't think that we're insignificant, but we all have our place here. But it reminds me that we are really small in this grand mystery.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to look at it. Like, we can say how insignificant we are, and only in the context of, like, let's not let us and our egos get out of our own way, because, like, we're a speck amongst the rest of this. And that's where it's like, but what else is out there? We can't be the only people or beings, or
It's impossible.
Or
probably even here now, just a different chemical composition that we can't see, we can't
Exactly.
comprehend.
Exactly, right? I mean, I brought this up earlier. What if we are just like a red blood cell in some other giant creature? So, like Eternals. So, there's all these things that we can say, and just realizing, like, okay, well, and we still have just the blessing of being born a human in America. Like, imagine being born anywhere else or being a dog. A dog wouldn't be terrible with a great father like you or me to our dog.
We give him a pretty good life.
But, like, a dog running loose in Mexico is probably a different ballgame.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is reminding us to be grateful in those moments and all those things.
I just turned 40 in November, and it's just nice to be in a new decade. And I've never feared age. I've always looked forward to it, because as we age, hopefully we just hopefully become more aware. So 40 for me has been a nice moment to begin a whole new decade of my life, to be able to look back at the last decade and go, okay, what did I learn? Man, I made a lot of mistakes. I had a lot of successes. Man, I made a lot of mistakes. I hurt some people in my learning process. And I think what I'm learning now is just how accountable you have to be for those mistakes, and also know that it's part of the process of learning. And hopefully you maintain those lessons going forward. And so I feel like what I'm learning now is just to be more tender with myself. To just, I've always had a longing to belong. However I've interpreted my past. I felt like I didn't belong. I had to change myself to fit in. I had to fix myself to fit in. I had to be somebody different to fit in. I had to be, just having to be different than who I am. So I always looked at other people and, like, I want to be like them. I want to be like them. And it was a disservice to myself. And I think that's why a lot of the lessons that I've been learning have just been leading me back to myself, of how can I carve my way to inner acceptance? And I think that's all of our journeys as well, that we're all on. And so for me, my goal for this 40th decade is to really embody that wholeheartedness, that inner belonging.
Yeah.
And see what happens with life from here. Because I didn't feel that consistently in my 30s. And I think because of that, I projected a lot of stuff. And in navigating through my own pain, because we all got it.
Oh, yeah.
You're a human. If you're alive, you got it. And I think we strategize either against our pain or to feel and heal it. And
mostly, I think we're masking it, right?
Yeah.
And the world's built that way. Take the red pill or the blue pill. Do this or do that. It's not like we're becoming better at having these conversations so we can address it.
And as men, learning to do that more. I never want to share my weakness. I've always been afraid to let people, see a side of me that isn't clean, that isn't perfect. And if I get sad or if I'm in a bad place, I will isolate and suffer in silence. So learning to share with other men and create a safe space, a safe atmosphere to be able to share is really critical. That's what I've learned as I've gotten older is, the scene has to be set in the right conditions in order to feel really comfortable to reveal that. And as you do that more and more, it just becomes more of a comfortable lane. But, that's a process. And I think as men, we've been conditioned otherwise, to hold on and to protect those feelings and to just move forward and move. It's really important to keep moving forward. Like, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I think learning to express ourselves is it's been a journey. It's all a journey to even get right here. And who knows what's going to come,
No, I know. And that's the thing. It's like we have conversations or we have beautiful moments and we start getting past the surface, right? We get past the surface, take a little scratch. Oh, there's a layer. Oh, we got a little deeper. And then you're like, oh, we're 3 layers deep. Oh, no, it's too much. Water's too hot. Let me come back up here. So who won last night, right? It's like, and we're constantly avoiding. Like, how do we sit there and actually take that moment? Okay, let me just feel this right now. Okay, maybe I don't have to share more, but let me not avoid. Because it's real easy. As we were saying, I avoid, I pack, I move on, I suffer in silence, I don't ask for help. But then I'm not acknowledging really sitting in it, right? Like, how do I sit in it to either get through it, to continue sharing, but definitely not to mask it and push it away?
I think a big lesson that I've been circling around and practicing is learning how to grieve. Like being okay with grieving, like grieving a moment, grieving a loss, grieving a mistake, but just taking that moment rather than strategizing against it or away from it. Let me strategize to feel it. And so creating space to grieve. And yeah, I've just been learning a lot around that in particular. So if something doesn't go my way, or if I'll find myself using my breath to kind of get there. Go, okay, I see myself wanting to avoid this at all costs. I see myself wanting to do something different. I see myself wanting to like push this down. Like, whoa. Hold on. Just be here with it right now. It's not comfortable. It's not necessarily where I want to be. But if I try to change this state, if I try to fix it or manipulate it or try to make it something different, I'm perpetuating its existence. And that resistance to it is just going to keep it around longer in this form. So the grieving of it is the invitation. And that invitation then allows it to change and transmute and transform.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, it's doing my best to navigate my life in this way consciously. And making it a practice.
Yeah, I like how you framed it, grieving. Because usually, I mean, in my case, it's like, why'd you do that? You're an idiot. Why'd you mess up? Like, how do we fix this? How do we move on? Instead of like, okay, let's grieve the moment as a loss. The moment was lost. Whatever it was, you failed, the lesson, the this, the that. As long as you're taking a lesson from it and growing and moving forward, then we're okay. But going into that self-beat-up cycle to either avoid it or whatever the case is and not deal with it, we're stagnant. It's not so much that we're moving backwards, but we sure aren't moving forwards. We're lateral, crooked, at an angle, but not where we want to go. So it's interesting saying, hey, let me grieve this moment. Let me grieve this mistake. Let me grieve this failure. And then we move over to more success, more forward motion.
Yeah. I think we all have access to the beauty of our lives, of the moment. Like, there's beauty everywhere. And yet our judgments of ourselves, of the moment, of, our quest for perfection, our attachment to expectation, all these things just block us from really experiencing the truth of what's here. And if we're not allowing these like this illusion to like penetrate us. We can let it exist, but like not like taking it in and becoming attached to it and creating the story and like baking ourselves in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just, yeah, cool. Oh, super judgmental right now, man. Okay. Is this real? Is this not real? And like, I want to be able to experience the beauty. And I think that's also kind of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. And grieving is part of that. 'Cause man, a lot of, like, I think part of the design too is to check out. And then you're like, whoa, I'm out. Let me get back in. And how can I get back in gracefully? You know, because I think before I used to get out and I'm like, whoa, I'm totally out. Fucking idiot. Or like, what are you doing? Like, oh, you're so not good at life. And there's whatever this critic is that's just like, you know, so it's the grace, being able to transition gracefully internally, because then that's the model internally is going to be the model externally. And I am no expert in love. I'm not claiming to be, but I'm learning. I feel like I'm a forever student, and I'm just learning, and this is where I'm at today. This is where I'm at now.
Oh, and that's the gracefully going in and out. Like, I'm just sitting here and I'm going over scenarios in our heads, right? Like, oh, this is what I did here. Is just yesterday. So I was here yesterday. I was in a very low. I'm in a low, and I'm like, wow, I'm doing podcasts tomorrow. Like, I got to be present. I got to be on. I can't be me yesterday, today. I would have had to cancel the whole day. It was just not good. And I'm just sitting here trying to figure out, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? What is it really? Like, what are my feelings? Like, what's happening? And I couldn't have an answer to it. I just knew I had to work through whatever it was and whatever process I needed to do and just go through my funk or my slog, and then know that my goal for today now, is to be present and to be out of that. So that was accomplished. But now I'm still thinking, and I've been thinking about yesterday, and then like, still you don't know, why did I get so low? And then I've had a tough couple of weeks, like 7 weeks, 8 weeks. My wife's been recovering from multiple surgeries. Like, it's just been, all of it's on me. And realizing, like, I haven't really expressed that or spoken to it a lot. I've been bringing it up in these conversations I've had in different podcasts, but we don't have that, right?
Is this your therapy?
I think so. I think so. So where'd you get your MFA?
Oh man. But I get that. I mean, I think, and maybe you can relate to this, I don't know, but I think for me, if I would get into some kind of a funk, if I'd get into a place that felt a little darker, I would be afraid that it would last forever. We go into this black and white thinking. This isn't going to change. And then there's a fear around it. And then there's like a grip, and it's not true. You know, like the storms in this, I mean, even though it's been gray here in Santa Monica forever, the sun's finally out today. Yeah. Sometimes the clouds will be in the sky for a couple days. Sometimes they'll be there for an hour. Sometimes, you know, maybe it's a month
or two.
It's never going to be forever.
Yeah.
You know, and things change. You know, that's just the constant. And I think that's the misidentification, is thinking this is going to last forever. And it's just not true. So allowing whatever it is just to move through, let it move. It's going to move anyways. So like, might as well like do your best to let it like move gracefully.
Yeah.
It's anyways, therapy.
I'm gonna set up my little candle, look at it, meditate, do the thing. Like, it's got to be perfect to figure this out. No,
but we do have strategies, though.
Yeah,
we have strategies. Like if I'm in a weird place, I'll take a cold shower. If I'm in a weird place, I'll do. There's a guided breath work that I like to do. That will change my state. I'll go for a walk. You know, I'll talk to a friend. I'll, you know, hopefully, you know, sometimes I'll hug my dog. I'm like, I just need a hug. She's not always down for it. I'm like, she's like, yo, get out of here.
Yeah.
Taking a nap. But we also, you know, I think we can't just, I'm such an intense person that if I'm feeling something, I used to just want to feel all of it and like get in and like, okay. Like, take it easy, weirdo. Like, stop being so intense.
Would that be more like a performance?
Maybe. Look, I used to not know how to cry, and it would piss me off.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be able to cry. And we used to do this exercise. I think everyone should take acting class, by the way. It's human class. And I would do this class, and there was this thing called a private moment. And it's private moment is something you would stop doing if someone walked in the room. And you can't masturbate. You can't like do certain things, but there are certain things you may be doing that you'd be like, oh, I don't want someone to see me doing that. And mine was I would go home after acting class and I would set up a camera in my apartment and I would try to cry on camera. And so what I did for my private moment is I went on stage, and this is in front of my 30 or 40 students in the class. I set up my living room. I set up the camera at the front of the stage, and I just tried to turn on the camera and I tried to cry. And it's just an embarrassing thing. And I didn't succeed. But it was just this quest to be able to feel like I was so intense about feeling. And I don't know if that intensity always is the best choice.
What about the effort in that effort of failing? Would that trigger you to cry? From trying so hard.
Sports documentaries would make me cry.
Oh, those crushed me.
Yeah, Titanic. Watching the Titanic would make me cry. Listening to a Celine Dion song or a Whitney Houston song.
Dude, America's Got Talent makes me cry.
Same. Or American Ninja Warrior. I'm like, why are my eyes watering right now? They're leaking. I don't know why. Like he just did the monkey bars or whatever.
Yeah.
That was definitely an avenue for me. And I feel like I had a dog before Karen, and my dog unfortunately got hit by a car in New York and died in my arms. It was a really sad moment, but it dented my soul. Like it was something that opened me up, and I've never cried more. And it opened me up in a way that only life can. I think everyone has loss. Everyone, we're all gonna go through tough times. We're all going to lose somebody. We're all going to die. But I think life helps shape us in those ways. And that was that pain, that path that it created was the deepest I've ever felt pain. And look, with the pain, it led to this incredible dog. And so it's like there's purpose to the pain, if you feel it and you process it. And, but I feel like that was a moment where if I couldn't cry before then, I could definitely cry after that. But that was well into my career. I'd already gotten past the whole.
You're like, I'm established now.
I've already gotten past the stupid not crying thing.
Just eye drops, right?
Yeah, you can do eye drops. I don't like to do that though, but you can do eye drops. I've done it before for sure.
It's funny because sometimes you sit there and like, how much of this is real? How much of it is fake?
Do you want to cry right now and see how we can do it?
Let's save that for the end.
Okay, good.
We could try.
See. Yeah, we'll just see if we can get there.
But no, because and you read. I read the gossip stuff sometimes, and like, oh, this actor is just all bullshit. They throw the lines at them, and they just regurgitate it. They don't even learn their lines, and everything's like fake. And I'm like, okay, but does it work? Do you still go watch the movie? Does it matter? It's art. You're creating art. Is there a right way or a wrong way? Like, do you have to Daniel Day-Lewis it?
Wait, whatever your process is,
Yeah.
as long as you're not hurting anybody and you're kind and considerate, and
I also think
Do
the
what you gotta
people
do.
writing it are people that can't do it, so that's why they're writing that.
I don't know if I agree with that.
No?
I don't know. I think some people just have a real desire to write and tell stories without having any attachment to wanting to be in front of the camera. Not because they can't, because that just doesn't.
No, I'm saying the people writing those critiques and that kind
Oh,
of gossip.
Jesus. Got it.
Yeah,
Got
yeah.
it.
Yeah. That's what I was.
Got you. Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, who knows? But so you said everyone should go to acting class. I've been through some. I know how very uncomfortable you could be in it. I'd be interested in doing it now versus back when I was in my 20s to see what. But you said it's human classes, and I could agree with some of the stuff that I've practiced. But like, what are some tricks that we could take from those classes to, you're sitting there with your really hard friends and you want to have a good conversation, or you want to work through some stuff. Are there some skills and tricks we can do in our day-to-day life that can help us maybe talk to our kid better or our spouse when we're in breakdown or anything like that you've learned?
I can share something. So we used to do this thing called a relative exercise, where you'd be a particular relative, like your sister, your brother, your mom, dad, grandma. You dress like them, you talk like them, you do your best to think like them, you'd walk like them. You walk on stage, and then the entire class just asks you questions, and you respond as them. And my sister had gone through a breakup, and I hadn't been too supportive of it. I felt like she was just like whining and like, oh, she's calling again about it. Or I just wasn't being a very great brother, a great ear for her, a great landing spot. And I played her on stage, and the class asked me a bunch of questions, and then it took a turn. They started asking about love and relationship, and I couldn't help but break down and like feel this immense pain and cry on stage as her. And I left class that day, and I called her and I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't know the depth of that pain. I felt some of it. And so for me, it's empathy. Yeah. So it helped me learn some empathy and empathize with her. And so I don't know, maybe role playing, maybe there could be some role reversal. I used to do this charity work with young storytellers, and we would mentor kids for 8 weeks, and they would write a 5-page play. And then actors at the end of the 8 weeks would come in and perform it in front of them, their parents, and the whole school. And mentoring these kids and helping them write these stories, you realize they're all just writing about the things that they're struggling with at home. And the characters in the stories are like a banana and a grapefruit, or an alien, or turkey, whatever. They're these characters that they're able to put their stories on and tell how they're actually feeling, because they have somewhere to put it where they're one step removed from
disassociate from it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I feel like there are certain creative ways where you learn about yourself when you play another role, or you play somebody or someone with a certain set of circumstances. You end up learning about yourself in such a great way. And I had a teacher once in class. I had to be angry, and I would just scratch my head like crazy. And after the scene, she's like, why are you scratching your head so much? And I'm like, I didn't know I was scratching my head. She's like, you're scratching your head. And I didn't know how to feel my own anger. And so sometimes class will just reflect back to you what your tics are, what your emotional blocks are, what you're using to not feel or to distract yourself from feeling. Yeah. So I don't know what exercises you could do at you just take a class. Just take your kid, go to class.
Yeah, I think role playing would be interesting. I play my wife, she plays me.
That could be really helpful and hilarious, and
it could go the wrong way too.
It could go south real fast.
Oh man, but no, that's true. It's life is wild, and there's so many things we take for granted, and one of them I think is the human expression, the feeling of everything. And what I do, and a lot of this is about being in service, right? We are in service to humanity. We're in service to ourselves, our friends, our family. The responsibility I always do when I paint a huge mural, like, hey, it's a giant wall that thousands of people drive by and walk by. I have a mural in Oakland, 10 stories tall, a freeway runs by it. Millions of people drive by that, right? Yeah. And there's the ones like, whoa, my name's in the corner, that big, it's huge. But it's also like, oh, I have a responsibility to put a message here that's going to impact the world for the better. It's not so much like, let me go paint my thing for me. And that mural says, love me before I'm gone. It's planet Earth with a Post-it note. And she's telling us, hey, I'm not going to be here forever if you don't take care of me. That was it. It's not this overly Greenpeace or any of that. It's just very straight to the point. Not going to be here forever. Mm-hmm. She's definitely going to outlive me. I know that for a fact. Like, think about the constructs of time. But these responsibilities and things we're doing. And anyway, that's all being in service, and some of the things you do through the acting and through the storytelling. But you do something really cool that I found out years ago, and you're a big brother. Mm-hmm. You've taken on and mentored a child, I think 11, 12 is when you met him.
He was 11, turning 12.
And now he's a man.
24.
Right? Like, this is like your son without having a son. Is it more than a big brother? Do you feel more like a father? Like, talk to me about that and how people get involved in things like this, maybe.
I definitely don't feel like a father. I feel like a mentor to him. And Big Brother and Big Sister is an organization that's all around the U.S. and in every major city. You can be a big brother or big sister. And usually the kids that you get teamed up with live below the poverty line. And a lot of times we'll have at least one parent incarcerated. So they usually come from a pretty rough background, and they're looking for an alternative perspective, a new point of view. And being a mentor is a very easy process. The commitment is 6 to 8 hours a month, minimum 1 year. So it is a nominal amount of time for life-changing impact. And the results are insane. Like the evidence states that if a kid goes through the program, they will behave better at home. They will have higher grades and are more likely to graduate high school. They will more likely stay away from alcohol and drugs, and they will have a higher sense of self-confidence as a result of going through the program. And I didn't really know that was the results. I just wanted to join the program it was a good time in my life to do it. I was I just was kind of stuck and needed to get off of myself. And being a mentor, it holds you accountable in a different way. You have to look at yourself in a different way, because if this kid's going to be looking up to you, well, how am I living my life? Can I be proud of the way I'm living my life? Am I walking the walk? What lessons do I want to bestow upon him? How do I think and believe and feel about life? So it brings a different kind of awareness and accountability. And, a lot of these kids maybe have been let down from a parent or two that have been struggling. And so you just want to make sure that you stay the course and you show up on time and you're a consistent, like a pillar for them. So when it's Lyric is his name, when it comes to Lyric, I've just had the privilege of having some incredible memories with him. We would go on very simple outings. We would go skateboarding in Venice, or we'd drive up through the Angeles forest and touch snow for the first time and play our guitar on the mountain. It was Martin Luther King Day, and we went and we wrote poems about what we thought about Martin Luther King. It could be whatever you want. You can go to a cafe, you can go to hang out at a park. It's not rocket science. You're just sharing quality time and providing attention and an alternate perspective. I think we went and looked through a really nice neighborhood and looked at Christmas lights. He'd never done that. We went trick-or-treating in a very affluent neighborhood, and there was massive decorations and like haunted houses, and he was blown away. It's like
full-size candy bars.
Oh my God. Yeah. They got hooked up, and I went with this whole family, and it's a remarkable experience to be able to show up for somebody that is asking for a mentor. And we all get mentored. Nobody's self-made. We all have people that have helped us along the way. And I look at that, I feel like it'd be cool to have an adult mentor program where if you're like looking for a mentor in painting or in acting, there's some way to facilitate that connection.
Yeah.
But this program's been amazing. I will be an advocate for them for a long time, because my life has been enhanced, and I've been able to take him to go build 2 schools in Senegal, take him to the African continent, which is the first time he was there. He's like, I feel like I'm home. And he's just crying. And I'm like, oh my, he saw his first shooting star in Senegal. When you go and you live in you live in a community, and you build the foundation of a school with a community. This is another organization called Build On that I'm a global ambassador for. You live with the families, you eat and you sleep with them, and you celebrate culture. And it's all about cultural exchange and empowerment. And we were standing in the back little area of this home we were staying in, and I could tell he was just in a very reflective moment. And I'm just going to leave you out here. And I went inside, and he came back in crying. He said he saw his first shooting star. It's like these little moments are like cool. I provided a moment where he could see a shooting star. You would think that's not that big of a deal. But you don't have to do gigantic, acts of service. The little things count too. They're all just as significant. But I've had some really beautiful moments with him, and I'll continue to.
Yeah. And do you renew every single year and you continued it? Can you move from kid to kid for anyone else that would want to get involved, or You just chose to like, this is my guy.
He's aged out of the program. You age out.
No,
at
I
18.
figure that now. So now what's happening? Yeah.
I could have another little brother if I wanted to. Yeah, I could do that, and that would be fun. I actually think he'd be a great little big brother for a little brother. Yeah, I don't think you go through the program having multiple littles. I think you have one, you see them through the process, and they most of the time will become a lifelong friend and peer.
So through the program, if it was 11, 12, he had 6 years through?
Yeah, because once they hit 18, they become an adult. And
that's bull. I'm 40 now. I'm still not an adult.
I'm getting there.
One day.
Yeah.
And I have a kid now. Right?
That you're an adult. If you have a kid, you're an adult.
I don't know.
You created a human soul.
If I had a kid 20 years ago, though, that would have made me any more of an adult.
That's true. A different. Yeah, that must be. Have you always wanted to be a dad? Was this a thing that you knew? No.
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. I'm not that guy that was wired. I need to spray my seed and have all these kids and I want to be a dad. I never had that. I had more like, well, if it's the right woman, if it's the right partnership, this is how life's going to go and we're going to go and continue with it. I wouldn't have it any other way. I did know deep down I would regret not having kids. You'll never regret having kids. But then I would have thought like, well, how can I regret something I don't even know? So it's more I would have regret the thought of what it would have been. Mm-hmm. But it's the hardest, greatest thing ever. It's my greatest creation, right? I mean, my wife did the heavy lifting, obviously, in the creation process. But it's amazing. It's unlocked my curiosity. It's unlocked all kinds of things in trying to be more present. Like I could be, fluffing off my entire day, but then when I'm with him, it's like earlier that moment I said I was over here on the couch, like I can't be like this tomorrow. But when I go see him, I'm not that. And I do still get distracted. Something on the phone happens. Mm-hmm. Like little things still happen that I'm getting better at. But for the most part, all that stuff, when I'm with him, it's not there. It's not incredible. There. Yeah, and it's, I gave a speech a while ago, and I wrote 17 different drafts of this. It was a closing keynote speech. So the pressure I put on myself on, like, I got to let the agent look good. I got the organizer to look good. Like, why did they pick me? Like, all these things. I want to keep doing more of this. Mm-hmm. This is part of, like, inspiring the world. It's another way of sharing my craft. And it was on how to live through love. So at first, I'm like, here are all our problems. Fear, my story, what led me here. This is what I did. Here's examples of, like, murals and prison stories and this and my lessons learned. But then I'm like, okay, cool. Now how do I close it? And my buddy, who's a speaker and a coach, he's like, well, how are you going to seal this deal? I'm like,
a beatbox rap.
I could have done that. But then we're like, well, I could talk about my kid now. He's like, boom, there it is. And it's about how do you be it? How do you embody it? Right? Like we could teach you to act all day, but unless you're really embodying it, I could teach you and tell you how to live through love all day. But if I don't embody it, no one's going to actually follow me. So teaching my son how to love and how to love himself is only going to be learned by how I love myself and how I love his mother. So I have to be it. I can't tell you, hey, every day, look in the mirror, choose yourself, wash your face, tell yourself I love you. Like, it's not how you teach self-love. It's all the things I do. I get up, I'm going to the gym. I'm not beating myself up like I used to as much. Or I am, saying please and thank, all these things that we do. And that's how they learn. So to me now, the kid is just the greater lesson in being me, right? And once you think that, it's like, he's not, we're a vessel. He chose us, and now we make sure he gets to a point where he's free. But I have to do it. I have to be it to just let him learn it.
Which is, the greatest accountability you could ever have.
Yeah.
Like, the best version of you is being called for at all times around him.
Yeah, just the hyper aware to certain things. Like, even sometimes, like, my dog's going crazy. The dog's super jealous of him. So Tuesday and Remy, I'm playing with Remy. Tuesday's like grabbing me, jumping like, Dad, because Tuesday's like, I'm his favorite. And sometimes I'm like, Tuesday, no. And I'm like, because I'll raise my voice. Remy now has noticed like, oh, that's for Tuesday. And then I go back to Remy calmly. I'm like, no, hey, buddy, that's just for Remy. Like, I mean, that's for Tuesday. Let's just, and he's like, oh, cool. Because if you don't do it and they don't realize, they think you're yelling at them. But I only do that with him because he's just getting so wild that then he's kicking and clawing Remy, and they're the same height when he's standing. I'm like, I don't want an eye poked out.
It
Like,
could hurt him.
I don't want this whole other thing happening. So it's just being hyper aware of like, do we raise our voice? Do we not raise our voice? What am I feeling right now? And making sure I'm putting it on there, because if I'm feeling a certain way, he's going to pick it up. Because
what is your take on that? Do you judge yourself for raising your voice at your dog? Do you think like, oh, like that's not how I want to act around my boy? I never want to raise my voice around my kid. What's your take on what's the best route for that?
I don't know. There's no best route, but I think it's realizing that he knows who the direction of that is going to, because it doesn't automatically go to voice raise. It's just like, once I saw like danger, he's getting real wild with his paws, and I don't want to see a claw or this, or he jumps and then pulls Remy out of my arms and I drop him. I'm just looking at that, and then the response is that. So, I don't want him to think that that's how we react to things, but that's the only thing that finally gets Tuesday to calm down, because I'm not going to choke him. I don't do any of that. It's just like, get a little louder, and then he finally, okay, he's
Or you just carry a squirt gun around.
Right? Little pepper spray.
I mean, that could work. Well, maybe not the pepper spray.
That was a joke.
How cruel.
That was a joke.
I know.
No, I am too much of an animal lover. But yeah, these are the things that I'm learning now, and how can we start applying that in everything? So I have these conversations so that I can be better, we can be better, and the people listening can be better, and we're learning from each other. At the end of the day, it's like, well, who's Travis? No one knew. Maybe they all know who you are. That's not the point. It's, who is this conversation Ruben and Travis are having right now, and what are the lessons we're learning in there? Right? I think that's what's cool and what's important. So
I think that's cool. You have a podcast to do that on. I think that's what a great platform, just to be able to hang out and have conversations that are meaningful with people that you like.
Yeah.
Do you like me?
A little bit.
Okay.
This is all a labor of love, right? You're putting out there daily, putting out the content, the socials, the algorithm hates you now. It's not what it used to be. We could go into all
navigating
these things.
social media is, it's a different ball game now.
Yeah. I used to post something, 10,000 likes. Cool, no problem. Now you post something, 3 likes. I'm like, what has changed? My stuff's better now. It's like, but it's like, this is all part of this too. Like, not taking that. It's not an attack on me. It's the nature of the beast, but our job is to keep doing it, be consistent, put it on the right platforms. Like the clips are on Instagram or TikTok, but like the videos on YouTube, the audios on podcasts, that's being shared and extrapolated and put everywhere. So people have a lot of different opportunities. And I think we're getting bogged down on, hey, your stuff's not performing, or it is performing. That's a whole nother animal now. Right? We didn't grow up with that. What's our kids' life going to be?
Yeah. We're already in a mental health crisis in the world. So is social media helping or hurting? I don't know. I feel like the people that aren't on it, I feel like they're bypassing some kind of psychological knots that are being like tightened in our brain from this interaction with social media and sharing the best versions of ourselves, or really caring about how many people like our stuff, or like what the comments are. I'm sure it's amplifying a bigger issue, and it's all of like, it's our desire just to belong and to be loved.
And that's what it is. And we're in a society where we are so isolated now, right? Families, you've seen the stuff I build on. I've done some houses in Colombia and different things, and you see how close these families are, and tribes of kid. It's like, here, take care of my kid. Here, take care of my kid. Like, we had some people step up and really help me and my wife while she was down and out. But if we didn't have that, it's like, unless you go kind of pay for a babysitter if they're on call, like, we don't have that support system anymore that it used to be. It's like grandma's got them, aunts got them, friends got it. Like, this tribal community. And social media has amplified that in a good way, but Now it's the opposite. It's the same thing. So maybe there is a bypass. I know a few people nod on it, but then what are they missing on? I'm not poo-pooing social media. I think there's all the beauties in everything, and there's all the negatives in everything. It's how we look at it.
I don't know the right answer to it, but I know when I have a healthy relationship to it, and I feel when I don't. And it's just navigating that. How do I feel when I'm using this?
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel like I'm actually the one that's like, is it pulling me towards it? Or am I actually feeling centered while I'm using it? And I feel like it's like I go back and forth with it. It's essential for business. It's helpful to get a message out there that you might want to get a message out. It's helpful to see what your friends are up to. It's helpful to connect with the world, and you learn about other cultures and other ways of life. There's a lot of value to it. So I think it's just what it is right now. Is this going to change and transform to something else? Yes.
Oh yeah.
What is that going to be? I don't know. But right now, this is what it is, and it's a hurdle for a lot of kids in schools.
Yeah.
I was eavesdropping. It's always fun to eavesdrop, and not like a creepy way. Don't judge me. But
your dog was peeing. That's all. You were standing there, and your dog was peeing.
But I was just listening to these high school kids talk and about how they're talking about Snapchat and about a boy liking one of their photos but not the other, and what that meant, and how they were. It caused a little bit of strife between them. It made them judge themselves. Why didn't he like mine? Like we already struggle through high school. Like it's not easy going through high school. So I don't know how this amplifies those inadequacies that we all feel. But I bet you it's kind of insurmountable. I don't know. I'm glad I'm out of high school.
Oh, me too. I don't even want to go back. But even now, think about bullying. Bullying, okay, you got bullied in school, you went home, you weren't bullied, and then you go back to school and you hated it. Now it just follows you. There's no not. It's happening online, offline, all of that. Like, we'll see. I guess I'll learn as Remy keeps getting through to the next level.
And as a parent, like screen time. How do you do screen time? What's appropriate? It's probably helpful when you're out to dinner and your kids are watching the screen, but what age do you start that? Luckily I'm a little bit later to the game when it comes to kids and at marriage. That's something that will come. But I've watched a lot of my friends go through that. So I feel like I've been able to learn a lot from how they've handled it.
And you'll know when you know, like, is there a right way or a wrong way? We don't come with instructions. I'm learning to be a parent. There's few things that we know. It's like, okay, we started introducing screen time because when we travel a lot, what's he going to do on the airplane? I had someone tell me, yeah, we didn't do screens for 5 years. And then we got on a flight and these kids just wanted to play physically the whole time. And we tried to give them an iPad and they're like, what is this? No, let's play ball. And like, that's a long flight. So it's like, ooh, yeah, maybe we should start introducing this. Because at first when we gave it to him, he's like, cool. Okay, now move on. Now he likes it and we have good balance. But I think in my case, what we're doing is like when he's losing it, crying out of control, we don't put a screen in front of that to calm it.
Because then he has to learn to
now
navigate his own nervous system and regulate. Like that's valuable for the rest of his life.
And then we turn it off. Like, okay, we're done. And if he loses it, then we're like, okay, we have to do way less of this because he's losing it. But he turns it off, cool, and he goes back and plays. So as long as that balance is happening, like, okay, here we are. So that's how we're navigating.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing that we go through as adults. If you're feeling some kind of emotion, what do? Do you go watch ESPN? Like, would you go smoke a cigarette? Do you go to the bar and have a drink? What do you do in that moment?
Foobar.
You binge food. Well, however you get to Foobar, just binge it. Okay. Yeah. But we do those things to not feel. And so it's like if you're teaching your kid now, no, navigate this, find your way back to peace, and then look at the screen. Great. But like not using the screen to hide.
Yeah. Like when they scream, just shove the pacifier in their mouth. Nope, this is when we don't put it. Yeah. So yeah, it's a constant battle. We're figuring it out. So Build On. Tell me a little bit about Build On. I've had some cool opportunities where we've built some houses, and I mean that is some rewarding life human energy that I have felt over time. And you we have another mutual friend, Rob Kirkland. Didn't he do something with Bill?
Rob
Yeah.
Radenfall, for sure. Rob's built a couple schools.
Yeah.
Education is a human right. Everyone deserves access to everyone deserves access to education.
Yeah.
No matter who you are, where you're from. You need a shot. And I think in the redeveloping world, access to education isn't, it's not accessible everywhere, and it's a shame. And so for the work that I've been able to do is I teamed up with an organization called Build On, and I think they've built almost 3,000 schools now, and all over the world. And being a part of providing access to education, man, it feels so good to help alleviate some kind of suffering for somebody else. And it's not like you're there, like, I'm not doing it for them. They're the community that has joined with Build On. They're ready to build this school together in solidarity. And you're just there to light the spark. You raise the money, and all the resources are there, and this is their thing. It's such an empowering organization where you're really there to just celebrate this new feat of having a school. And the idea of knowing that it could change generations of lives is something that keeps me coming back. And it's something I'm very passionate about. And it's been about 10 years now.
Wow.
Yep.
So what does it take to fund a house or a project?
Karen's
in the way here.
So it's a school, not a house.
Oh, yeah, school. So like Pencils of Promise. Have you heard of it?
Yeah. Normally it's about $35K. So you raise $35,000 and then an additional $5,000 for an adult literacy program. So whenever you go to a new community and you sign a covenant, you have an opening ceremony, and everyone signs their name on this piece of paper saying that we are committed to building this school. And I would say 75% of the people from the community, the adults, they have to use a fingerprint because they don't know how to write their own name. And so they didn't have the chance to learn to read or write. And so each school gets an adult literacy program, and the adults, and the majority of these adult literacy programs are filled with women. They get a chance to learn to read and write, and that will help them navigate when, dealing with a doctor and having to pay a certain amount of money or getting on the bus. It'll help navigate how to read the labels of medicine they get from the doctors. It helps in so many ways. So it's about $40,000, and then you pay for your own travel whatever country you go to, Malawi, Senegal, Burkina Faso, Haiti. Haiti's not happening at the moment. Nepal, Nicaragua. So you can go to these different countries, and every school gets equal enrollment of boys and girls, 50-50. That is part of the covenant, part of the agreement. And usually you have all the women that are working on the work site, and it shows the men there that whatever potential limited way they've been viewing women, now women are equals and they can work just as hard as men. And it's this really beautiful thing to witness when you're there. It's a powerful organization. They're doing incredible things. And I've had the privilege to build 8 schools now and be a part of many more. And it's been a profound, it's had a profound impact on my life. And it's like one of those lanes where I've carved it for 10 years. Like it's just a lane in my life it's a part of what I do. When I work as an actor, I work as an actor. When I have time away from that, I'll go build a school. And so to have this 1-2 punch, it's really an incredible space that I feel really proud that has become a normal part of my life. Yeah.
And the big brother.
Yeah.
So it's a good balance. So my wife, she was adopted, and she came from Ethiopia. And before we got married, we went out and met her birth mom. I mean, that's a whole other feat in a story. And one day she'll be ready to share it the way it should be honored and shared. And it's a beautiful story. I mean, first of all, the lesson in forgiveness that I learned, like, this woman was looking for Z for 27 years or 25 years. And the minute they were reunited, it's like, okay, all is forgiven. I have found my daughter again. And that was it. It was like 25 years of pain. And I'm not going to share the details. but like on what had happened and transcribed and why we ended up in this place. But she doesn't speak. She doesn't read. I mean, she speaks the language, but she doesn't read or write. And we were there. You know, we took her to the eye doctor. We took her to get all these different things, and we didn't speak the language or read it. So then we had to have a translator. But just seeing like, wow, the amount of people that can't even operate in their own country, we take things like reading for granted. And I don't think it's the same as, let me look at like some Japanese writing or Arabic and be like, yeah, I have no idea what that is. Because we know how to read other languages, English or Spanish or whatever, right? Whatever your thing is. So I can't imagine just looking at words, and I paint with words. Like typography and the English language is so important in my artwork. Like I don't even know where I would be if I couldn't read. So it's kind of mind blowing.
And you're right. We do take it for granted because I didn't necessarily take school that seriously. I tried to skip school a lot. You know, these kids are just chomping at the bit just to go. And school is something that's provided for us. For the most part, if you're a kid and you're in America, you're going to school.
It's a law.
Yeah. It's just what it is. And you don't have to fight for it. You know, you don't have to walk 5 kilometers to get to the nearest school, like a lot of these kids do. There might be a school that's kind of close by, but they can't walk that far until they're 10. Yeah. So there is a delay in how they can advance their lives. And then you get a little bit older and you're just finishing 2nd grade and you're 13 or 14, and then you're already, starting to get interested in the opposite sex maybe, and then it's very easy to get caught up in the normalized way of life there. And I think bringing education to these places is something that they want so badly. The moms and the dads and the elders, they're so hungry to have a school in their community. And when they show up on the work site, you can tell they're so passionate about it because they didn't have that opportunity. And it's infectious. You do it once and you're like, whoa, I need to do that again. Yeah. And so my goal this year is, so I've got 2 schools that I've built in Senegal, and I want to go back to each of those communities and build a 2nd school in each of those communities and begin really building longer relationships.
And you get to choose that, like with the organization. You're like, hey, I would like to focus here. Or do you get to choose?
Both those communities said we're ready. We're ready for another school. So yeah, I think that would be something that maybe 2024. I'll get to do that.
Nice. It's a good goal.
Yeah.
I remember building, we built in Cartagena outside in the slums, Cartagena, Colombia. And, my parents came from Colombia, so that had a story for me as well. And we raised $10,000 per house to build the house out there. And part of it is we actually go over there and build it. Like, it was hard labor. Like, I had a pick. There's a video somewhere. I mean, I'm taking all my CrossFit and I'm taking these sticks and cleaning and jerking and we had to do them 9 feet deep because it's in the swamps. It floods. So these houses have to build really high, put up the walls and everything.
All those clean and jerks were for something, man.
Exactly. It's not just for the shirt to be off, put it to work. But, and it was so hot and it was so humid. But the thing that I learned is we worked our faces off for these people. And some of them went and helped with us. Like the family we were helping, the husband, the mom was pregnant. So the husband was there kind of helping us in between that. And like, she was ready to pop. So it was like, oh my gosh, she could go into labor at any moment. But we left them with the house to raise this new baby. Like that was amazing. Like, are you kidding me? And not saying 10,000 is not a lot of money, but think about it. It's not a lot of money in the context of what's happening and what you did to change a community and a life. And their whole job, the only thing they had to do was just feed us and keep us hydrated. And the hydration was provided, but they cooked us, rice and beans and whatever. And that was all they had. And it was the best food ever because we were so tired and it was just home cooked. And they were so happy to just give us the little that they had. And all these kids were running around. There was a moment, this is just when like personal drones started coming out. I think it was 2017. And this company a buddy was working at, he's like, hey, here, you want a drone? You do murals. Like, let's see if this can work for you. Wasn't the greatest drone in the world, but I'm like, let's go, let's take it. So I took it and I started flying it around, and the kids, and I have this all on video, I was flying it and they all just swarm me and they're trying to grab it and all tiny, like they're like Remy size now, 2, 3, 4, jumping and joy and the stuff you kind of see in like movies or documentaries. And I'm just sitting there and they're just chasing me around with it. And this joy is forever ingrained in me just because I was able to take a little drone that they don't even know, like, how is he flying something over us? And then they're all jumping on me. Let me do it. My turn. I just thought these are things that I'll never forget.
And it's the simple things too. You know, you go and a kid will be playing with a stick and an empty tire. That's their toy. That's all they have. When we get inundated here, we just have an abundance of stuff. You know, I feel like there it's simplified in a lot of ways. And look, their quality of life it's harder. You know, but the way they live with community, the way they band together, they have to for survival. The way that they take care of each other, the way that they celebrate their lives and they dance and they sing together. It's you know, it's a way of life that is really inspiring when you go, you know, because we get caught up in our own little bubbles. We've got our little protective cars. We've got our somewhat separated, isolated lives. Yeah. This is, you know, they've got it down, and it's really inspiring. And it always, you know, there's a line that I had in season 3 of You, and I used to say this on Trek when I'd go to build schools. I'm like, you got to check out to check in. And I added that line in the show, and it's kind of such a cheesy line, but it's true. Where I feel like we take a pause from this life where we just kind of have access to everything, and just really check into living life in a very simple way, and the impact that has on your thought process. And when you come back here, you look at things a little bit differently, and that usually lasts for a little while, and then you end up just getting sucked back into the machine.
The gratitude is definitely something that's massively amplified. But what you're saying is true. It's that inspiration, and it's not poo-pooing anything. Like, it's not putting any of this stuff down. It's not like I'm like, oh, woe is me, I had to know. We are all blessed. It's realizing, like, go out, travel, see the world, be in service, do something to recharge your blessings at home. Not to put it down, not to put yourself down because you were born in a different place or any of that, but just to realize, like, humans are struggling everywhere, and my struggles are real, and someone else's struggles are real, and they could be even greater than ours. But also, why is our happiness meter so much less than people that have significantly less? So it's just like, dude, there's parts of the world, they do happiness tests. Like, people have nothing and they're happy. We have everything and we're not. And I understand, I am my own happiness dealer. Like, you can't go choose a partner to make you happy or buy a dog or a thing or this. I mean, a dog will make you happy. That might be an exception. But you still have to work on you, right? And traveling and all these experiences is, I think, how we go back to this. You know, earlier we were talking about, like, men talking. Like, if a group of men kind of get together and do it, and then we do it more, it's just little moments of, like, how do we be more human again? Let's just connect on that level.
I just want the mentality of leaving it better than you found it.
Yeah.
I just want to be useful and get out of my own way. You know, pain is a normal part of life. We're all going to experience it. Suffering is optional. You know, we feel like suffering is just our attachment to our pain, and that can hold us back from living such a big life. I just want to get out of my way as much as possible and be a steward to love and the planet and do good things. And I feel like doing these acts of service are just one piece of that pie. And it's always something that I learn a lot. I learn a lot about myself. I learn a lot about other cultures. It's, you know, it's again, another cheesy term. It's soul deposits, you know?
Yeah. No, but it's true. We recently have been talking to people, and, you know, we're so goal oriented, right? Goal setting. And a few people have reframed this recently for me. It's like, no, it's soul setting.
Ooh, soul setting.
Goal setting versus soul setting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, you know, we could say it's cheesy or not, but
soul setting, yeah.
Let's not diminish the things we say, you know. Check out to check in.
Yeah, and I feel like these trips also, like, they help tune. Like, there's a tuning fork, like a soul tuning fork. And I think that's really important when navigating our lives that are you know, everything is there's so many choices and options, and everything is It's so big. So a tuning fork. And what else is a tuning fork? Nature, like getting out into nature. It's like, yeah. So whatever. I feel like I've been very lucky to see a lot of the world, and I want to see so much more of it. But I've been lucky to travel a bunch. I love it. And my name means to travel. I always ask people, what does your name mean? And I was like, interesting. Mine is to travel, to transcend, crossing over, toll booth keeper. Like toll booth keeper.
Interesting.
Yeah. What does yours mean?
A son is born.
You already manifested that.
Yeah, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. I never really thought about what does that mean now. But I'm sure depending what you're looking at, it means different things in many different avenues. But toll booth's interesting.
Toll booth keeper, yeah.
The toll booth keeper is interesting because you're allowing people to travel to that next destination.
Or not.
Think about it. Exactly. You're the keeper.
The keeper.
Nope, you will not pass go. And I'll keep your 200. Where has some of so you've traveled because of the Build On, just travel in general. Has some of that been from acting in different shows? Has that taken you to some really cool spots?
Man, I feel like I am an honorary Canadian citizen. I've worked in
out of
Canada
Vancouver?
so much. Yeah, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Toronto. I've definitely done a lot of work in that part of the world. Yeah, I've been able to travel a little bit from work, but I would say mainly my travel has been just with family, friends, or service.
Yeah. No, I remember in my 20s when I was wealthy from real estate.
Ooh.
And all I could do and think about was I got to make more. I got to be more successful, right? It was different in my 20s. And I could have taken a whole year off and traveled and seen the world. And I traveled a lot as a kid. Like we've done Mexico and Cuba and Canada and States and Colombia and different things, but never like full on travel. And then when I had money, it was Vegas, New York, Miami.
Vegas, that was the choice?
Mexico. So that was my travel because it's a quick weekend, right? I don't say it counts as travel. It was getaways. But again, my mindset was completely different. So I don't live by regret, but I have 2 regrets in life. And one of them is that when I was that rich, I didn't travel. I've made up for it 10 times over now. Mind you, we've been everywhere. Remy's been to 8 countries already.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good start.
Yeah.
Was he 4?
2. He's been in 8 countries under 2.
Wow. That's incredible. Yeah, well done.
Mm-hmm. At 6 months, we were in Spain, cruising down Barcelona.
Just the beginning for that one, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
He's been to 5 states, I think, maybe a few more states. And, but that's the thing is like traveling. The hardest thing is getting away and making the commitment. There's a cost to it. But once you're out there somewhere, it's actually much less expensive than you think. And you don't have to be super lavish, right?
I would hostel it up in my 20s and early 30s.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't hostel now. But.
No, I'm going to pass on that one. But but that was, I was so happy to do it. I would meet people. You know, you always felt like you were just in a different kind of pulse of the city. It was always in a really cool area. Food was cheap there. Yeah.
And we walk a ton, 30,000 step a day type walking through these cities.
Every city I go to, I like to have a car. I want to drive in whatever country I'm in, and I always want to ride a bike.
Mm-hmm. We don't do the bikes.
It's so amazing to bicycle around because you just can get lost. And I love getting lost in a new city because then you have to find your way back. And that the process of doing that, you see so many places that you wouldn't find on a website.
Mm-hmm.
You have so many moments that you wouldn't expect. And the spontaneity level is just through the roof.
That's why we walk or rent a car, right? Because but I can see the bike is faster. You can get lost quicker.
And random streets,
you're like, there's a hill. Let's just go down the hill because you want to go fast.
Ride through a park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always loved. It just makes me want to go to Europe right now. Let's go.
I want to go. When's our next trip? This has been my lowest travel year in a while, for a number of reasons. We started off the year escaping El Chapo's son being arrested in a shootout at the airport. Did you hear about that at the beginning of the year? Oh, we were heading on to the airport. We had a 2:00 flight, so if we would have had like an 8 a.m. flight, we would have been in it.
Whoa!
But the government went after El Chapo's son. They were shooting up the airport. We got stranded there for a few extra days, semi-trucks. The whole city was burning, and you can Google it.
Wow.
So we were stuck in paradise an extra week, but it was tough.
At least you weren't there at that time.
Exactly. So I look back now, it's like 2 hours different. We would have been in there, and like, what would that have looked like?
That was us at the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta when the bomb went off.
Yeah.
I remember we were at the Olympic Park, whatever they call it, and we were around this. I remember seeing the Scooby-Doo van, and all these things were there. And we left, and 2 hours later, the big explosion happened in that area that we were in.
Isn't that wild?
It's just wild.
And those moments, to me, it's just more like, just let's remember that life is finite. Could have been us. It wasn't us. But don't not learn from that. I'm definitely not going to not travel. And we've been in definitely precarious situations. And we rent car. We drove all over Morocco. We've driven through Ethiopia, all over Italy, Switzerland. Like, you name it, we drive in it. But it's part of the journey. And you get to experience a lot more. So everyone, travel. And you're not too old or too young. And if you have a life-changing event, just do it. Like, imagine, like, you turn 50 and, like, let's say you get laid off. You're like, wife, let's just pack up and go. Like, who knows what's going to happen?
Perspective, man. Perspective shift. Bubba? Karen's like, come on, guy. Take me to the park.
Yeah. But soon, Karen, soon. Are you going to get some B-roll of lots of B-roll of Karen, huh? We're just going to make it the Karen show. Could she be the album art cover too? No. So
I mean,
as
she probably can. I just did a photo shoot with her. There's this great photographers that like they're making a coffee table book of actors and artists with their dogs, and I had a photo shoot with her. And first one she's ever had professionally. And we did this pose where I flexed like this, and then they're going to manipulate my body out of it, but I held her up and flexed her arm like this. I hope they use that one. That would be epic.
Well, if they need a dog named Tuesday, Tuesday's available. Well, we'll see. Let me know what ends up happening when that comes out.
Yeah.
That'll be your new profile photo.
The important things in the world is having a dope profile photo.
The fact that we can actually do that. But as we start winding down, thank you so much for coming on, talking, having an eclectic conversation of stuff that kind of goes everywhere. And this is fun. Like, every episode is a little bit different. The underlying theme of everything obviously is love. And we could see the through line. That's always there. Our role on this planet is to love and be loved. And then we love to complicate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our role as artists and people that can tap into that, not everyone could tap into that, or everyone would do it. I think everyone's an artist, everyone's a creative, but not all of us can express these emotions and our feelings. And the ones that can, look, let's continue to do it and share it with the world and put it out there. Because sometimes it's funny to think like, yeah, I paint love all over the world, but I'm a very physical, like, athlete. Right? It's like, what are the misconceptions of don't judge a book by its cover and where it goes? But thanks so much for sharing, and we're gonna get to that question now.
What's the question?
Did you forget already?
Yes.
Okay. You wanted cheat sheets, remember?
Well, I just wanted a skeleton of what your podcasts are normally like.
I know.
That's
don't get nervous though, Travis.
What's the question? Give it to me.
Well, I do have one question before we get to the question. Memorization tips.
Yes.
Are there? I looked up all kinds of things on YouTube when I was prepping for this keynote, and I've done 2 TED Talks. That's not a humble brag. They made me write the thing, and I had to memorize it, and I had to regurgitate it. There's a big difference with that because it comes out robotic, and then the keynote I ended up just bullet pointing it and just free flowing it, which is a different ball game. But I'm always fascinated. Like, sometimes there's a ton of dialogue, and how much like. What is that trick there?
So it's a process. I think in the beginning, I'm usually pretty stressed out about it because it feels so big. But it's just reps, really. It's just time. They say when you're lifting, it's time under tension. Yeah. It's just time with the words, really. And I feel like I will, I'll just read the script usually 3 or 4 or 5 times and just see what sticks, what ideas come. I'll have my pen out. And I'll just read over and over again, and I'll see different things. I'll start to interpret things differently. I'll connect to it. So for me, I just need time with it. So that's how it starts. And then I like to move when I memorize. I will memorize when I'm in the car, driving safely. I'll memorize if I'm riding my bike safely. I'll take a long walk. I need to be on the move.
Yeah.
And I feel like that helps me. If I'm doing something and my body's physically moving, I somehow
ingrains in.
I maintain it. I'm not thinking about memorize, and it has a different access point, and it lands differently. So for me, I think a good memorizing tip is just try moving. Bring it with you somewhere. I can't do it like if I'm at the gym. I don't really do well memorizing because you're doing too many things. But
I keep it with me everywhere. More like it's there. I'm looking at you. I see you. There's a word that just pops up. But the walking, I do that. Like I would just hit laps. I think I did 2-3 miles going through this thing.
Yep. And also go for phrases. So, you have chunks. You don't have to learn all of it at one time. Like land like 3 sentences. Cool. Let me just work on these 3 sentences for the next hour or however long you want to do it. But typically once you sit with it for a second, I don't know, you just marinate in it. And then you begin hopefully to embody it and you process it and then you make it yours.
Yeah. Because there's moments where parts of the day, I would wake up in the morning and I could get through the whole thing. By the end of the day, and after reading it 10,000 more other times, I start kicking myself in the teeth because I'm like, I don't remember a word. Oh my God, you're going to fail. What is going to happen? Like, I'm going to let everybody down. But it's just, I'm just curious. I always talk to like singers and act like, what do you do to memorize?
Yeah, I'm always impressed with singers that can just have an arsenal of songs and just rip them out and not mess up a word. Or maybe they actually do mess up a word and we just don't know it.
True, because our brain will fill in the gap.
Yeah.
And it's just the music.
Yeah.
I know music helps, so I do music sometimes.
That does help too. Yep.
But this is just a random curious question. Is there a certain amount of blocks? Like when you're doing scenes, is it like 5 pages, 10 pages? You don't have to memorize the entire thing, right? It's just sections and sections and sections, or?
So you always want to strategize, so you always want to optimize your time. So you're strategizing for optimization and like, okay, cool. We know we start filming on this day. What is our first week of filming? They then will give you a schedule for the first week of filming. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, order of priority. Monday, Tuesday, top priority. I need to learn. Typically what I've found is, you'll probably do 6 pages a day, maybe 5, 7, somewhere around then. So usually you'll probably do, I don't know, it actually changes on the different production. But what I've found is I need to be ahead of it. So if I'm working on Monday, I want to feel really good and off book for whatever I'm working on Monday on Saturday. On Sunday, I'm hammering Tuesday's work and I'm kind of going over Monday's work, but I've already locked in Monday on Saturday. So I have that's my process. And then at night when you get done with work, you go home and you just lock in the next day's work so you can really, you never want to show up to set unprepared. You always want to come in having worked on things, having choices in your mind, being open to play. So you're not, you always want to show up like just really just full and ready to play, and not like you're having to learn it on set. Although you do learn it when you get on set. And your repetition, you've got the big wide, the master shot, you've got the wide, the close, the medium, you got all the things, and then you turn around. There's a lot. You're doing a lot of takes. But you don't want to use set as your place to learn your dialogue. So I show up ready to roll.
Yeah. Plus you want to be that guy with the good work ethic.
Yeah, and it frees you up. It frees you up.
If I'm free and not work. Yeah.
If I know my lines and if I understand the circumstances and if I've done my homework, well then when I get to set, I really get to play, and that's where the fun is.
Yeah.
Because then it's more spontaneous and you're just in a different zone. So I aim to be there as much as possible. And then sometimes you might have a day where it's like, ooh, life happens and you might not get as much prep as you want, and that's when you just
Line.
Show up and do your best. Well, you're going to mess up your line no matter what.
Yeah.
I can be the most prepared person in the world and know all my lines. I'm still going to forget and drop a line.
Yeah.
That's just part of it. And I think,
It's how you deal with that then, not beating yourself, letting you continue and knowing you need the help.
yeah. Al Pacino was talking about acting, and he's like, you're walking on, when you're on stage, you're on a tightrope. You're walking on a tightrope. In film and TV, that tightrope is on the ground. You're still walking a tightrope, but it's actually on the ground. So it's just a different kind of intensity.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I want to get into stage. I think that's something that would be the next big chapter of my creative outburst. Is I just want to be on a stage, and I want to perform live.
Yeah, some people just love it and they go back to that, right?
I would do that for the rest of my career.
I have a buddy. I went and saw him do a play, and there was this crazy scene in it, a whole rape scene, like totally unexpected. We were like, "Oh, what is happening?" But he killed it. He annihilated it. And then later we saw him in some movies, and I'm like, "Is that the same guy?" Like, and I know there's a way big difference between all of that. It's like, the only example I could give in the moment is like a practice field player and a game day player, right? Sometimes. So I just knew he just smashed it, he killed it. And maybe it's just like, you're the play guy, the theater guy. And I think that's just it's more intimate. And maybe he connected even deeper that way.
Well, and you also, I haven't had too much experience when it comes to long runs. I've done some shorter runs of plays, but if you're doing something 300 times, and you're doing it 8 times a week, well, you embody that, I guess, in a very deep way. More so than, let's say, you get 6 takes, or sometimes 3 takes, or with certain directors, you get 1 take of something. So it's just
Clint Eastwood,
different.
the one take guy.
Yeah, imagine that pressure showing up, just knowing, like, man, I get 1 swing at this. The intensity of that. It must push you to a different part of your potential. Yeah, like that would be Matt Damon. There was a movie where he played a South African soccer player, and he worked with Clint Eastwood, and he speaks a lot about his experience of just having to trust that they got it. They must have gotten it because he moved on. You're like, that's a scary place to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes that anxiety can be a handmaid to creativity. And, so maybe there's something there.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, thank you for sharing that. So here we go. On the fly. You're going to have the perfect answer. Travis?
Yes.
How do you define living a life through love?
How do I define living a life through love? How would I define living a life through love? I don't know. I'm not an expert on love. I can only share from my perspective, but I think being kind, being considerate, doing your inner work, being accountable for your mistakes, learning from your mistakes, having fun,
Yes.
like appreciating the beauty of your life and giving back and repeat. I feel like it's just like those are the steps.
Mm-hmm.
And at any given point, you're always in one of those or all of those stages at once.
Yeah. Good answer. There's no wrong answer.
Yeah.
It's your version of that answer, right? We all apply these things differently. Like, we all think of love differently. Just realizing that love, I believe, is undefinable because it's everything in how we do it. And if God is love and we're made in God's image, then we are God and we are love.
Yeah, it's like oxygen.
Yeah.
Like love is like oxygen. We are always breathing oxygen. Sometimes we'll stop and go, we'll be conscious of our breath and it feels really good. Mm-hmm. Other times we're breathing oxygen and we don't even know it, and it's guiding us forward. So it's always part of our life, whether we're conscious of it or not. And it's always It's always here for our benefit.
Yeah.
So that's love.
There it is.
Yeah. Or love is being able to accept the reality of what is, the truth of what's present, whether that's your pain or your joy, or whether that's whatever scenario, some person's annoying you in the line at Target, or your dog is about to, maul your kid. It's not trying to change what's in front of you, but accepting that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Like, that's love.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. And what's next for you? What's coming up right now? Where can people see you?
When does this air?
August.
When in August?
End of August? We could save it for anything specific if you need, but it's August or later.
So, I'll let you know since this will be a while till it airs. I'll let you know, and you can just edit this in. Hopefully, what you can see me on next will be season 2 of Foobar. So that should be fun. I have a
So
part.
it's been greenlit for sure then.
Not for sure yet,
Oh, okay.
but I'm going to say that now with
Yes, manifest.
cautiously optimistic.
Well, let's start that over though, because there was some.
Yep.
So Travis, what's next for you? Where can we see you next? What do you got coming up?
I have a spot in the new Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal, a Doug Liman film. It's a remake of the classic. If you blink, you'll miss me, so make sure to keep your eyes open. But it's fun role. I got to work with Jake, and it was pretty great. And I got to meet Conor McGregor, which is just a legend.
Yeah.
I'm currently in Budapest working on a film with Arnold Schwarzenegger called Breakout. Super cool.
Hey.
Yeah, he plays my stepdad. I'm a journalist, and I get caught in some trouble and get sentenced to life in prison. And, he may or may not get a group of his friends together to break me out. And then season 2 of Foobar, coming up. We start filming that sometime soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And for those that haven't watched Foobar yet, my wife and I, we binged it over a weekend. It's fun. It's exactly what it is. It's fun. You're awesome in it. Arnold's classic in it. It was
Thanks,
just a good
man.
time. Yeah.
Thanks. It's a fun ride. It's a goofy show. It's great action. It's well written. Really, as an actor, you read a lot of scripts, and I've been doing this for 20 years now, and when something special comes at you. And this was something that was really special from the very beginning, and the chemistry and camaraderie on set was special. Being around Arnold is incredibly special. Everyone just wants to be at their best around the guy, and not because he's asking you, just because he has personified excellence his entire life.
Yeah.
And so wherever he is, you elevate yourself. You have the
shoulders back, deeper breath.
Let's go. So I feel like there was a combination of a lot of things that made this show really special, and I'm really glad that people really took to it. And we've gotten a lot of great feedback. I mean, the critics ripped us, but whatever, 50-50. But the fans
don't count.
Yeah, the fans have really dug it, and it was a blast, man. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it.
Yeah, check it out. And any dream? What's the dream? Is there a dream role, a dream casting, a dream project?
I look at guys that I respect and admire in my profession. I love what Matt Damon's done with his career. I love what Edward Norton has done with his career. Brad Pitt, Bradley Cooper. These guys have played really dynamic roles, and they played in plethora of different genres and time periods and accents. So for me, I want to keep expanding myself and learning and growing and working with great people, and continuing to create really incredible characters that I can throw myself into playing and that connect with audiences around the world. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what's next, and I'm not in control of that. I'm starting to do more writing and getting more into the producing side. There's something that I've been working with a couple guys behind the scenes. It'd be a really cool thing for me to do. I won't get into it, but I can't. It's not under my control.
Yeah.
So I'm I'm open to see whatever comes my way, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah. And do you have a preference between TV or film?
Do I have a preference between TV and film? I want to do it all.
Well, some people love one or the other, or hate one or the other.
Let's do it all. I have no preference. Let's do TV. Let's do film. Let's do theater.
Let's go.
I want to do it all. I think the dream would be to be on a series. After that series wraps, do a film. After that wraps, do a play, and then repeat.
There it is. You just put it out there. That's what's going to happen.
Let's go.
All right. And where can everybody find you, Travis?
I'm at Travis Van Winkle on Instagram. I tried TikTok. I think I have a TikTok, but someone stole my name. So I'm my name with maybe a 1. I don't even know. I've only posted a couple things. I'm on Twitter at TVDub. I'm pretty inactive on there. And just find me. Say hi to me on the street. Say what's up. I'd love to meet you.
Yeah. Make sure you acknowledge Karen.
I mean, she's
the boss.
She's the boss.
Yeah.
She gets all the attention.
So does Tuesday. So does Remy.
Oh, I bet.
We're just shepherds. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for diving in, opening up your heart, and letting us know a little bit about you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Live Through Love. If you love this episode, you'll love this episode.